Hello, Africa. Tell me how you're doing. I hope you're well and that you've had a good day. So glad that you could join us on this session where we're going to be covering how to rock your profile. I brought my rock star hat on today, so get ready to build your personal brand. Thank you very much for joining us. There was an open invitation to this, so I'm welcoming people from everywhere across the continent and everywhere across the world. This session was put together by the Congolese Professional Network, but in the spirit of Ubuntu, they have said we should open this up to all professionals worldwide. So I welcome you. If you are watching, I will be looking at my computer for questions. I will be looking at my computer to interact with you. Let's just start off by you telling me where you're watching from and what you would like to learn. So give me a shout out. I see I've got Wangeshi already joining. So good to have you on board. I've got Shadrach already joining. And thank you very much, Shadrach. I love the positive comments about all of us helping other professionals who might be in need of knowing how to rock their LinkedIn brand and get access to economic opportunities. I'm super excited about this opportunity to stream live to you and have this as a session that can be recorded, as a session that you can play back, because we are going to impart a lot of things. So I encourage you to first pay attention as we're going through this, ask the questions that you need to ask, and then afterwards, have a look at some of this content in playback and take some notes and take some prescriptive actions in terms of building your personal brand. LinkedIn is all about economic opportunities and making these economic opportunities available to equal people who have equal skills. Equal skills should have access to equal opportunities. And my role at LinkedIn in this specific regard as we do this show is really about helping you gain access to new economic opportunities. Hopefully by building out your profile, you can be more productive and more successful as you build out a career strategy that helps you get access to mentors, that helps you get access to opportunities such as learning, speaking engagements, or even as you're starting out your career, establish that credibility that says, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I'm all about, and this is what I can bring if we partner up together. Today, we will be, as part of the learning objective, looking at the very basics of setting up your LinkedIn profile, right? What matters in those setups and how that setup and things that you do ultimately impact the way recruiters look at you, the way hiring managers look at you, and the way other people perceive your personal brand. I'm excited to have you on the show. I've got a couple more people. I've got Chris from London watching. Hey Chris, how you doing? Hope you had a good day. I had Bontle watching from Botswana representing. Thank you very much. I got Ivy watching from Nairobi in Kenya. I've got colleagues that are watching out of South Africa. Hope everything is going well on that side. And then of course, we got people watching from Austin, Texas. The question is, how do you get access to this? I've got people asking questions. It's that simple. All you need to do is go to the event that I advertised, or even to go in and have a look at my own personal profile and add people to it. I've got a couple of people asking questions. It's their first time on this LinkedIn experience. So we're gonna go into a bit of a music break as I quickly assist people to log on to this session. This is gonna be a good session. This is all about you. So please, let's take those pens and pencils, or let's just get focused on how we build our profiles. So I'll go into a bit of a commercial break as I quickly assist a couple of people online join this session. Each one, teach one is for all of us to learn. As I take this small commercial break, I'm gonna ask you, please tag someone. If you're watching already, tag someone that you know has been looking to build out their career and their role on LinkedIn. This is a session for them. So I'll get off camera for a second, but I'm gonna leave you with some music and I'm gonna leave you with an ask. Please get some friends to join, tag them to this session, and hopefully we can get more people educated about this and more people accessing opportunities. I'll be right back after this. Welcome back. I hope you all took the action to go and add a couple of your friends to this session, the Rock Your Profile session, where I get to teach you as a Rock Your Profile, look at that, as a Rock Your Profile specialist and ambassador for LinkedIn. I'm getting my words mixed up. This is the joys of going live. It's authentic, it's real, and it is 100% all me. So here it is. I'm going to be doing this session for you as a LinkedIn Rock Your Profile ambassador. That's why I got my rockstar hat on today. I don't wear this for meetings. Don't get that confused. I really got this on today because I want to turn your professional brand into a rockstar brand that attracts economic opportunities. As we wait for a couple of people to get started, if you've got questions in the feed, please let me know. I see I've got a couple of friends also from Nairobi here. I've got Rehab Jumbo from Nairobi. Greetings to you, and I hope all is going well. I've got representation from Eswatini, our royal kingdom in Africa. How are you? And thank you very much for joining. And please add a couple of friends to it. We've got friends out of Nyeri in Kenya. We've got Mozambique in the house. How are you, my Portuguese-speaking friends? How is it going out there? We've got a couple of friends also connecting up from the US. We got global representation, and thank you to everyone. I see Grace, Doreen, Ivy. I see a couple of friends here like Ivy and Valerie, adding more people to the stream. In the interest of time, we've got 10 minutes that we've already taken as we've been setting up, as we've been getting people connected to this. So let's get right into it. It is a recorded session. So you can play back, you can watch this later on, and you can learn as we go. So with that in mind, I had a quote that I wanted to start off with today. A quote that I believe will help us, as if some of us might have had challenges in thinking about how do I create my personal professional brand? What should I put? What will people say? How will that impact my access to new economic opportunities? The quote reads, "We waste too much time being afraid, when what we really should fear is wasting time." We've got time on our hands right now, as most of us are currently in lockdown, staying in, staying at home. As we go through what we're going through from a global perspective, this is the time for you to build out your professional brand. This is the time that you've always wanted to tell your story. My role today is to help you tell that story to the professional world. LinkedIn, after all, is a professional network. It's a trusted environment where we go in to teach, where we go in to learn, where we go in to inspire, where we go in to coach, and where we go in to share best practices. As I said earlier on, my role at LinkedIn is to help enterprises find talent. I do that by doing employer branding activities with organizations. I do that by working with hiring managers, by working with recruiters, both in the private sector and also in the public sector. So what I bring to the table today is that experience of working with these various communities, understanding what matters to them, understanding how they search for people, how they shortlist, what they read and what they care about. And by sharing this, I hope this will help you tailor your own personal story into a story that resonates and allows you to go, find, and be found on LinkedIn. With that, let's get started into it immediately. I'm not going to cover the very basics of setting up and opening up an account because I would assume you've got a LinkedIn account as you're watching this on LinkedIn. If you're watching this feed later on from YouTube or you're watching it from Twitter or any other platform, I am assuming you've got a LinkedIn account. What I would encourage you to do as a very first step is to maybe think of LinkedIn in the sense of an analogy of a beautiful car. If we take a minute here and we close our eyes and we think about the car that we have in our dreams, the car we aspire to own when money is not a problem and opportunities are available. If you close your eyes for a minute and envisage that car, you would tell me that the first thing you do before you get into that car is think about personalizing it, putting yourself into it and the car responding to your personal comfort and preferences. So take the time to think of LinkedIn as that beautiful car. There is so much we can do with LinkedIn beyond finding jobs. We can learn, we can sell, we can inspire, we can influence, we can coach, we can mentor, we can lead in the areas where we know best our skills lie. So with that all in mind, take the time to go in and set up your privacy and security settings so that they're to your preferences. Back to the analogy of that beautiful car, once you get into it, you're going to adjust the seat. You're going to adjust the radio. You're going to, well, that's if everybody still listens to radio, right? You will adjust the music system. You will adjust the mirrors to your comfort. You will adjust everything in that car to your specification. And the same thing applies to LinkedIn. You as a member are the most valuable thing to us as an organization. Your experience, your safety, and your comfort is ultimately what we hold core to our values when we think of you. Members first. With that in mind, take the time to adjust your privacy and your security settings. As we get started on this journey of thinking of our LinkedIn profiles, I wanted to establish a couple of things right up front in terms of what we will be doing with our profiles and how we'll be communicating with our profiles. First things first, always speak from a first-person narrative. As we write out our profiles, own it. It's your story. So, writing about your experience, writing about your summary, your executive pitch, it should be something that comes from the heart and something that is based on what you feel, what you've experienced, and what you can bring to the table. In terms of communicating, as we all know, the social media space or any digital space these days has a lot of traffic in it. So with that in mind, let's be conscious of the fact that we are trying to communicate to an audience that's already inundated with information. So let's keep our sentences short and concise by highlighting the things that will matter to them. When we get onto building our profiles, I would like to think of your profile summary as your elevator pitch. Your profile summary should tell the story of who you are, what you do, why it matters, and the impact that you bring, and also the aspirations that you have. So that's the mindset we're going to be using as we're going through this session. And as I said, if you know someone who should be watching this or someone who can benefit from this, tag them and add them to this session. Our LinkedIn profiles give us a fantastic opportunity to communicate to the world's largest professional network and platform. Did you know that currently on LinkedIn, there are over 690 million members? And that with every second, 3 new members are coming to the platform. So let us use our profiles to make sure that we stand out, to make sure that we are found, and to make sure that we're using our profiles to amplify some of the things that are going on in our lives and in the lives of the members that we're connected with. Some key examples here could be on your profile, using it to highlight recognition of other people or others recognizing the things that you have done for them. Our LinkedIn profiles, by being rich, will allow us to access new opportunities. And let's think broadly about these opportunities. as much as most of us are on this platform to find out how we can get access to jobs, I would dare you and I'd encourage you to use your LinkedIn profile to reinvent yourself if you find yourself out of work. To use your LinkedIn profile to communicate your passion, the volunteer activities you're participating in. To bring about credibility to the quality of work that you provide for others. To use this to showcase your business, your new startup, and to use things like rich media to illustrate examples of what you can bring to the table. So, before we actually get into it, let's also think about making sure that our LinkedIn profiles are demonstrating all the skills that we have, all the skills that support the professional brand that we're putting out there. Whether it be hard skills, as in the technical skills that you've studied for, or whether it be skills that are related to things like collaboration, creativity, time management, the ability to work with teams. Let's use our profile to tell that story because it matters. As the world moves forward and as the world starts thinking about new ways to work, soft skills have risen in terms of importance. So don't underestimate those soft skills and write them off and say, well, who would care? The world cares. And the opportunities that are now coming up are looking for those soft skills as we transition into a new world. Ultimately, as you build out your profile, what should be at the back of your mind in terms of what you want people to get out of your profile? I've put up a quote from one of my favorite authors and poet, Maya Angelou, where she said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So as we build out our professional brands, we aspire now to leave people with a feeling of how you are managing through these times, what you're doing to reinvent yourself, what skills you're growing, how you can help them differentiate themselves in front of competitors, the skills that you bring that will drive that organization to increase their revenues or to reduce the costs that they incur, or to serve the communities if it is public sector or social enterprises. The other feeling we want to bring about is the feeling of how you have embraced a continuous learning mindset to disrupt yourself, to gain access to new technology and skills that companies are looking for right now. As I said, our mission at LinkedIn is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful every day. Let's get right into it. What makes a great profile summary? What makes a great profile summary is you being able to tell a story that is professional, a story that's told in a first-person narrative about yourself, a story that includes words that are 40 and plus, a story that uses industry terminology that people can resonate with or that fellow professionals, hiring managers, can use to search and find you. A story that is rich and comes to life by the use of rich media, the use of photographs, the use of short videos, the use of slides to demonstrate your impact, your capability, and to add credibility to your story. You heard the expression when you were growing up, and I'll remind you of it. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Research has shown that images stimulate the mind up to 60,000 times faster than text. So we will talk as we go through this about how you can leverage rich media to bring your story to life. Where does it all start? It all starts with your profile photograph. Did you know that when people look at your photograph, they start making assumptions about you? We're human after all. So if we have that in the back of our minds, what would be some of the best practices in having a great LinkedIn photograph? First of all, I would encourage you to be in the photograph alone. I would encourage you to have a photograph that is focused from shoulders going up. The reason I say that is that most people will start their search of you using a mobile device. So with that in mind, if the space for showing your photograph is so small in terms of real estate, then it's good practice that people get a clear representation of you and that they're able to recognize you easily. For oftentimes, you and I have gone in and looked at someone's profile, and later on we want to share that story or that article with someone, and as we scroll through our LinkedIn newsfeed, we don't remember the name, but we remember that photograph. So let's use a photograph that shows our best representation and that allows people to quickly and easily recognize us. My other pro tip around this is for you to dress in the profession that you work in. So wear the professional clothes that are related with your industry, so that when people look at that, they're able to align with you. The next thing people see when they search for us is they find our LinkedIn headline. By default, LinkedIn picks up your existing job title as a headline if you haven't customized it. You have an opportunity to go ahead and customize your headline to represent your professional brand. This is amazing, fantastic, underutilized real estate that most of us don't take advantage of. Go in and personalize it. Tell the story in terms of the job that you're doing, the impact that you're looking to bring, and why you stand out as a unique individual. If you did a search on my own LinkedIn profile, you'll find that I've used hashtags. I've used the hashtag Africa because you are my community. You are my prime focus. So when someone searches by that hashtag, not only do they find content related to me, but they'll also find content related to Africa and all the related opportunities that come with it. The other thing that you could consider in terms of a headline is telling a short story of why it matters. So if you're in the finance sector, for example, yes, you could be administering loans, but what is the impact? So do you provide economic opportunities or financial opportunities to the underserved communities out there to enable them to create their startups that create greater opportunities for others? I paraphrase it, but you get the picture. It's about telling a short and concise story beyond a traditional job title that will help others understand your purpose and what your professional brand brings. Let's move right along. In your profile summary, what can you put in? This is probably the one place when I interact with so many people across Africa and the world where a lot of people struggle. What do I say about myself? And probably this is why there's a tendency for some of us to write this in third-person narrative. But we're missing an opportunity to own our story. Because a lot of people know we don't have publicists that are writing our story for us. So own it. Who are you? What do you do? Why does your work matter? And what's the contribution or the impact that you are making? This forms your profile summary. This forms a narrative that one can read, enjoy, and be curious enough to ask you for a detailed resume if it's not attached to your profile, or to ask you to have a telephone conversation. I bring up the word resume as an attachment to your LinkedIn profile because your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. Your resume is a static document that tells a story of what you've studied, where you've worked. Your LinkedIn profile is a living digital representation of you. It's living and breathing because on it, you can attach rich media that you would not be able to attach to your profile, to your resume. On it, you can attach recommendations. Other people talking about the skills you have and endorsing you on those skills. In a resume, would typically have put in references, which gives work to the recruiters in terms of trying to find out if what you have said is factually correct. But on our LinkedIn profiles, by highlighting our skills and people going in and endorsing us on those skills, it helps those recruiters and hiring managers see credibility in the skills that you say you have. Because now we have a global audience that has gone in and endorsed it. Again, when we think of our profiles on LinkedIn, we have an opportunity to have an array of recommendations from people that we have studied with, worked with, coached, mentored, or provided services for. Adding credibility to your professional story, and what's more, reducing the amount of work for our recruiters and hiring managers that might be short on time in finding appropriate skills to take on those opportunities they have. So keep that in mind as you write out your profile summary. A brand is important to establish. And it's important to have a personal brand. A brand that speaks about who you are, what your aspirations are, and what you bring to the table. If we're to think and to find a quote that helps us get this message, I look to the quote from Jeff Bezos, the founder and the CEO of Amazon. He summarizes it by saying, a brand is what others say about you when you're not in the room. So as we build out our LinkedIn profiles, what does it say to people? How does it help other people have confidence to recommend us for those economic opportunities? The other difference between your LinkedIn profile and a resume is that we get to showcase our creativity. Showcase our creativity by reaching into the archives of work we've done before, work our organizations have participated in, success stories that you have delivered for your constituencies and also for your communities, and take that in whatever shape or form that it is, whether it's a video, a slideshow, or images that help tell that story. So let us use rich media to help others to understand. And why rich media is even more important in the time that we live in is that I've observed a bit of a trend change. A trend change that says with the current health pandemic situation we're in and that we shall overcome, currently recruiters are looking to hire niche skills globally. They're having opportunities as recruiters to post jobs for you to work remotely. And that's important to understand. That sometimes we look at opportunities within our own region, our own country, our own city. But the opportunities now are global. And them being global needs for us to become digital and to become digitally savvy. My rock star tip around this is for you to always have in mind the thought process that the people you're communicating with might not necessarily be from your country, might not necessarily speak English as a first language, and if it's video, for example, might not have a full grasp or understanding of the language. So that's why it's important for us, where possible, to use things like subtitles. Did you know that 80% of the videos that people watch today, they have the volume turned off? So subtitles are important as you think about what rich media you're going to attach to your profile that helps tell your story. And of course, being at LinkedIn, one of the things we thrive for, like I said, is to create economic opportunities for every member of the global workforce. And that includes our community that is deaf or hard of hearing. So by using rich media, you broaden the reach of your message to communities that might otherwise have missed out on this. Let's carry on with your LinkedIn profile. Our LinkedIn profiles, like I said earlier on, are a great place to showcase some of our achievements, some of our accomplishments. They're a great place. It's a great place for us to recognize others. It's a great place for us to establish our credibility and to showcase the exciting professional story that is you. What makes you unique? What do you bring to the table? I've talked in the first 30 minutes of this session, not so much about the things to go and tweak, but talked about building a personal brand. And I can see already we've got questions that are coming in on how do I build my personal brand? Where do I start? Well, it starts off by you understanding what you bring to the table. You understanding what your personal brand is. With that, I'd like to look at a couple of brand characteristics and key things that you can do to help you build your personal brand story. We'll focus on some of the traits, the skills, and values that can help define you. When I was trying to establish my personal brand, I reached out to my community. And this is the exciting thing about LinkedIn, is that you're not alone. When I think of community, I think of my online community. I think of my work and my colleagues. I think of my customers and partners. I think of the people who live with me. And I say to myself, let me understand my brand by asking possibly these 3 questions that could help you. Number 1, ask somebody, a leader, someone you've worked with, what words would you use to describe my work? Note them down. Have this conversation with multiple stakeholders that you value in your life. Once you've understood what words they use to describe you, this will be one of the things that we'll use as we build out your personal brand. Secondly, ask them, after you've conducted a piece of work for them, what 3 words describe the experience I created for you? Remember I talked about feelings? This is where we're starting to tap into how we make other people feel. So ask them to give you just 3 simple words to describe the experience that you have created for them. Thirdly, go about and ask both your professional, social, and family community to say, what can you count on me for? Because this helps you tell the story of what you bring. So have a look at that in terms of understanding what your brand is, what impact it has on people, and how people would summarize your value to them. And again, as I said, LinkedIn is a community where you can go in and do searches for other professionals who are in roles that you're in, or other professionals that are in senior roles that you aspire for, or other professionals that are already way deep in their career and you can learn from them. When I say learn from them, I encourage you to borrow a word or two, not to do a complete cut and paste, because ultimately your profile should be an authentic representation of you. Which goes back to what we said right at the beginning, having a great profile photograph. How many times have you seen on your LinkedIn where someone reaches out to connect with you? And when they connect, there's no photograph. Would you connect? Again, think about it in the sense of sometimes we meet people at an office conference or at a training session and they give us their first name and their last name and we get onto LinkedIn a week later, a couple of days later to connect and we do a search. And God forbid that name is a common name and we find a plethora of people. When they have the same name, we struggle now to identify which is the person that we met unless we remembered where they said they work from. So, my pro tip here for you is put in a photograph that is warm, welcoming, and a true representation of yourself. I love a comment I've just received right now from Tandy, which says here, a successful person smiles in the face of adversity. I love that. A smile is one of the biggest and most powerful tools that you have as an individual. A warm, welcoming smile. And the data from LinkedIn shows us that when we have a profile photograph, we're likely to get 9 times more connection requests. So if you're looking for a job, think of that in the sense of 9 times more opportunities that you can go after. A profile photo doesn't need to be from a studio. A profile photo could be one that's taken at home on a clear, plain background. A profile photo that is a true representation of you with good lighting and a natural background could be the very thing that gets you started. So let's make sure that our profiles have the best representation of us, because it will lead to up to things like 21 times more views. So don't skimp on it. And LinkedIn has made it easy for you in terms of building out your personal profile photos. There's a couple of features I'm going to lead into, but before I get into that, I just wanted to share one other pro tip that I've observed when I look at people's profiles. I've just put up 2 images here on the screen where you've got 2 what would be great photographs for other platforms, but might not be the best representation of your professional brand. Our children, our loved ones, our pets, those are all important. And yes, we value them. But ultimately, this is a professional network. So dress for the job or the role that you aspire for, or the industry that you're in. And as I said, LinkedIn has made this even cooler and even easier to make sure that you get a great representation of your brand. How? We've incorporated features that allow you to zoom in on that photograph that you have. Features that allow you to change the tone of that photograph, that allow you to add filters to that photograph. So definitely click on the pencil sign that you see on your LinkedIn profile if you want to edit. and go in and zoom into your photograph so that ultimately 60% of the profile photograph is your face. And what's more, research and data is showing us that if you've got a great photograph, you're likely to get up to 36 times more messages. And I guess that's what you're looking for as you're looking for new economic opportunities. Your LinkedIn headline, I spoke about this in brief earlier. Your headline will automatically default to your current role. But you have an opportunity to differentiate yourself and to bring about your personal brand in this particular area. How you do that is by clicking on the pencil and going in and editing what currently appears. This program that I'm running today, the LinkedIn Rock Your Profile program, of which I'm an ambassador, is currently headed up by Lauren Jolder. Lauren has got a fantastic description. I brought this up so that you can have a look at what is an example of having a headline that captivates the imagination. Her headline is Powerhouse Program Manager, Rock Your Profile Queen, and Opportunity Creator. Already, just from those few words, you get a sense of who she is, what passion she has for what she does, and ultimately what she aspires to do and deliver in the work she does. So go out there and personalize your headline so that it best represents you. What you might want to include in that headline, like I said, is maybe some industry keywords, your role, and also maybe the unique skills and passions you have. And earlier on, I even talked about adding a hashtag that resonates with you and your professional brand. One of the headlines you'll see after the session when you look me up on LinkedIn is "It's time to shine." I can tell volumes and stories about the concept of "it's time to shine." This very session we are holding now resonates with that hashtag that I have. My role is to help you shine, to help you access those economic opportunities. My daytime role is to help organizations shine by telling their values, their characteristics, their office space, showing the things they do for career development so that you can consider them for an opportunity to work there. So find something that resonates with you and something that you can tell a passionate story behind that will engage the next person as you talk to them. As I said a little bit earlier on, and thank you very much for those who are joining online. I really appreciate having you guys. I'm going to be tackling questions when we get a little bit later on into this. But as I said on LinkedIn, if you're struggling with something, you can borrow ideas from key leaders and influencers on LinkedIn. So do the searches based on industry, location, do the searches based on the type of work that you're doing, and see how other people have projected themselves in terms of what they do and how they bring about impact into the world that they're in. I talked very briefly just now about industry. Industry and making sure that your profile shows your current industry is super important, because you will get up to 9 times more views when your industry is correct. A lot of us opened up our LinkedIn profiles or started our journey on LinkedIn working in a different industry segment. Well, now you have the opportunity to go there and update it, because it's important. It's as important as putting in our location details. When we put in our industry and our location details, we are driving traffic to ourselves. As I said earlier on, I've noticed a trend where recruiters globally are looking for people who can do remote work. So it's important that your location is correct. Some of us make the mistake of putting in our location being the location where we currently are not in, and a location that we aspire to work in. This obviously reduces your chances of getting opportunities that are based on the location you're currently in. Location is important. You will get up to 19 times more profile views from hiring managers, from recruiters, when you have your location correct. And of course, industry, I might have forgotten to mention it, people are searching on LinkedIn up to 300,000 times a week based on the industry. These are small changes, but they have significant impact if you're looking to get a job, if you're looking to make a career change, if you're looking to sell, if you're looking to hire, if you're looking to inspire and influence. Small changes, big results. The other change that I would encourage you to go in and make sure is absolutely correct is, of course, the city you currently reside in. This will increase the profile views up to 23 times. I see people asking questions about how do I increase traffic to my profile? These are the small changes that you could make that would help you gain more traffic from potential partners, recruiters, hiring managers, and leaders. So we're still talking about our profiles. I put this up as a reminder so that always in the back of your mind, you're thinking, who is the ultimate community I am communicating with on my LinkedIn profile? Is it prospective employers? Is it prospective partners, stakeholders, clients? Always as you build out your profile, have in the back set of your mind who is the audience that you predominantly and primarily want to communicate with. All of us do this. Whenever someone approaches us for a meeting, we start by looking and trying to understand who are they? What has been their career journey? What kind of work do they do? How can they help me? So always have that in the back of your mind. Let's move along. That profile summary we talked about earlier on, one of the best ways to think about it is when we think of riding an elevator with a prospective hiring manager, with a prospective recruiter who's about to interview us, or even with a CEO. If you're currently in a role right now, you might have had that one-time event where you're riding the elevator and you're in that elevator with the CEO. With the 30 seconds you've got, what story are you telling about yourself that will leave an image, a feeling so close to reality, so powerful that they will remember you next time an opportunity becomes available? Other things that we can do to grow our opportunity reach and to tell our story and to build our professional brand include putting our current work experience. You're likely to get 8 times more views just by documenting your current work experience. You're likely to get 5 times more connection requests by ensuring that your work experience is up to date. And more importantly, if you're looking for a job, you're likely to get up to 10 times more messages by having your work experience clearly documented. This is so powerful. And oftentimes we overcomplicate it. So let's think about how we can simplify it. To simplify it, I like to think of, if I was sitting across the table to a child and they asked me what it is that I do, and I'm also trying to put across why I do what I do and why it matters to my community and the world, it means I need to be succinct, it means I need to be clear, and it means that I need to focus on impact that I bring. I highlighted 5 numbers for you just now. Just having your current position, like we said, it'll get us 8 times more views. Just updating our full work experience, it'll get us up to 5 times more connection requests. And by having our work experience updated, we're likely to get 10 times more messages. So on your work experience, not everyone is overly familiar with all the companies you've worked for. So make sure to take a minute to describe in 2 lines who it is you're working for. What does that company do? Then go into the next layer, which is talking more about what are the results you've brought, what is the impact you brought, and what is some of the change you've driven. Oftentimes, when I look at LinkedIn profiles for some of the members, they tend to do a cut and paste of their job descriptions. Think about it. Our recruiters have over 690 million plus profiles to consider. So tell a story. Tell a succinct story that brings to life what you bring to the business. Your results, your impact, and the change that you have driven. I've put up on a screen an example from Lauren talking about some of the things that she has done, some of the things that drive her, and some of the results that she has driven and also aspires to drive. Let this be one of the examples that you could possibly look at in terms of telling your story. Let's move on in terms of looking at profiles for other people. I took a quick snapshot of a friend's restaurant here and how they describe what they do. It is not a job description cut and paste. I'll leave it up on the screen for you to read through, but you will see that they've brought in their personality. They've brought in their passion. They've brought in the change mentality, the results that they've driven in terms of modifying and changing their business to provide a unique experience. So how are you telling your story? I can't wait to see how some of you will change your profiles after this training. And again, as I said a little bit earlier on, you're not alone. If you're struggling with it, look nearest to you, your workmates, your family, those that have taught you, those that have led you before. Look to them to understand what you could do in terms of articulating your professional brand and your work experience. Rich media helps us to bring our work experience to life. Like I said a little bit earlier on, yes, some of the profiles that we have are the profiles and the work we've done is based on companies that not everybody knows. So having a visual representation of that company, and here I encourage you either to reach out to the marketing department or to go into open platforms like YouTube and look for a video that helps bring your story to life. It helps highlight what that organization was about. It helps bring out the values that drive you as a person. And I'm not saying pick a random video, but pick up a video that's in the public domain that you have permission to use, or even a personal video that you've shot that helps articulate your story. Be ready to defend it. Be ready to tell a story when someone asks you about the video. And what's more, your LinkedIn profile is with you everywhere. So if you're running a business, I want you to think of this rich media as a place where you can show your value proposition, where you can demonstrate some of your success stories, where you can highlight some of the unique products and services that you're offering. This rich media will help you tell that story, but only if you have it on your profile. A great place to go and add rich media on your profile is your summary and your experience sections. So definitely relook at your own profile and see how you can visually stimulate those that look at your profile to understand more about you and what you bring. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, if, for example, you have a restaurant, going into the back end of your restaurant and taking a photograph of your team at work, it could be a great representation of what your organization looks like behind the scenes. Just by looking at the image we've got on the screen here, everybody looks clean. The environment looks professionally organized. The environment shows people working together, a collaborative environment. And the environment shows a diverse workforce. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Don't underestimate it, and definitely make use of that rich media if you want to tell your story. So go out there and look at what company assets are available. Then start using those assets, but at the end of it, having the mindset where you are able to articulate why you've used it and how that content relates to the work that you did in that organization or are doing in that organization. We're hitting the 1 hour mark and we've got 30 minutes and I want to answer questions. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit so that we can get straight to your questions and help you start building great professional profiles. Skills. With skills, I like to think of it as superheroes. If we think about the superheroes we like, whether it's Black Panther, Batman, Wonder Woman, whoever your superhero is in mind, they have a unique set of skills that nobody else has. And I want to say that you have some unique character traits, skills, and experiences that can be termed as superpowers. How do we show our superpowers on LinkedIn is by adding these skills to our profiles. Our abilities, our strengths, our expertise ultimately will help us build credibility. So when we add our skills to our profile, what results is that we are likely to, if we have 5 or more skills, have up to 27 times more appearance in searches than when we don't have those skills on our profiles. LinkedIn gives you up to 50 skills that you can add to your profile. And as I'm saying, if you have 5 or more, you're 17 times more likely to be viewed on LinkedIn. So add the skills that you have and go in a step further to pin the key skills that you want people to endorse you on. Because the way it works with skills is that you add your skills, and then your first degree connections, being the people you're currently connected with, can go in and endorse you for those skills. Only your first degree connections can endorse you. That's why it's important for us to build credible networks on LinkedIn so that they can go in and validate some of the skills that we say we have and make the job of recruiters, recruiting agencies, and hiring managers easier in establishing your credibility and understanding your core strengths. Skill endorsements will strengthen your profile. Skill endorsements will give you access to more opportunities. So go in and look at the skills that you've got populated on your LinkedIn profile and think about the world and the work we're in right now. Pin the 3 skills that are important to you if you want your first degree connections to endorse you. What are those 3 skills? Pin them to your profile. Change the order in which your skills appear so that those who endorse you get firsthand a view of the skills where you might not have had people endorse you on, but are important to you. With that in mind, make sure that those skills highlight the range of hard and soft skills that you want to have that support your brand. This helps build credibility for you. Another thing that helps build credibility, if we think about it as a job seeker or as someone transitioning into a new role or becoming an entrepreneur, is that perhaps you can reach back into your network and think about the people that you have brought impact to. People that you have inspired, coached, mentored, delivered services for. Reach back to them and ask for recommendations. On LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to search for someone. After you've searched for them, you think back, how did this person feel when I delivered a service for them or when I was part of a team with them? And then what I would encourage you to do is to personalize the request for recommendation. So when you reach out to someone, LinkedIn has a default request where it says, hey, hello, how are you? Would you recommend me, please? Go in and personalize that. Know what it is that you want to be recommended for. So make it a personal message as you reach out to someone and say, hello, we worked together on this project. I was a project lead, and you said that by the work that I did, we're able to save budget or increase productivity by X amount. Do you mind, please, recommending me publicly on LinkedIn? Sometimes when we think about the people we're reaching out to for recommendations, these could be executives. And as we well know, executives are busy and sometimes they don't recall every single person in the organization. So as you reach out to those executives and ask for a recommendation, perhaps you might want to draft a summary for them. A summary that allows them to just simply go in, edit, and add their own tone to that recommendation. But for you, in terms of that draft, you've highlighted the skills, the expertise, the results, and the impact that matter for that particular recommendation. As much as we reach out and ask for recommendations, I honestly encourage you to use one other superpower: giving recommendations. Each one of us has worked with phenomenal leaders, worked with fantastic colleagues, have volunteered with different people. Go in and give them a recommendation. By giving each other recommendations, what it infers is that you are a giving person. I'm not encouraging you to trade recommendations, but I'm encouraging you to give honest, authentic recommendations for people that you've worked with, people you've delivered services for, or people that you're appreciative of. I briefly hinted at volunteer experience just now. Did you know that this is one of the places hiring managers and recruiters spend a lot of time reading about? Your volunteer experience allows them to understand you from a holistic perspective. Your volunteer experience allows them to understand the things that you do for society, for communities, without seeking reward. What's more, you know most organizations already have their own corporate social responsibility activities. Perhaps the skills or the volunteer experience that you have had in the past could be aligned to some of the initiatives they're trying to drive for their customers, their employees, and their communities. So don't underestimate the power of volunteer experiences. We're right at the end of this session in terms of just building out your profile. I just want to encourage you, please, to document some of these small things that have a huge impact in ensuring that you get found and that you find opportunities that are aligned to your purpose and your career aspirations. I've shared quite a lot. This is the first of many sessions that we're going to be holding. I've spoken about a number of places that you can go in to go and rock your profile. I encourage you to look at it as a marathon. Not a long marathon, a short marathon. Not a sprint. Take time to work on different sections of your profile each week. Take the time to understand what impression, what purpose, what passion is leaking when you use certain words to describe your professional experience and to bring your professional brand to life. I have questions that have been coming through the stream, and I'm super keen to get into some of those questions. I see some positive responses here from people like Tim. Thank you very much, Tim. I'm super happy that you're enjoying this content and that this content is valuable to you. I've got comments from people like Ida who are talking. Let me just read this back. Of course, some of you will be watching this a lot later and will not have the privilege of seeing some of the comments that are coming through. So I'll read this out from Ida. It says here, if I have changed roles, is it necessary to put old work experience that does not help in my progression or progress? Ida, all experience is important. I'll tell you something else. I mentioned the fact that I'm working with recruiters all the way from Nigeria, all the way down to South Africa. And one of the things that they've shared with me and I've observed in the jobs and the people that they're hiring is that all experience matters. You might have changed industry. You might have changed profession. You might have had a career break where you went out to pursue things that matter to you as a person. You might have taken a career break to raise a child. And during that time, you volunteered. All those experiences are important to put into your profile because, as we said earlier on, your brand is what people say about you when you're currently not in the room. So if there is a 2-year gap in your experience, don't leave people guessing where you were within those 2 years. Make sure you outline that I was volunteering or assisting with a family business, or I had my own startup that ran for 2 years. Because it's important that when you finally get into the room, or when you're on that video interview, you're able to tell a story. A story that says, I lost my job and I started an apparel business, or I started making cakes, or I started a mechanical business during that time. And when I started that business, here's what I learned, and here's how I'm going to apply that experience into the role that you're making available to me. So all experience matters. And with that in mind, if we've got students or young professionals who are just beginning their careers now, I would encourage you to put in the internships, the volunteer work that you have done as part of your experience. Because this helps show the entrepreneurial spirit in you that can help someone else get an awakening in the sense of how you are a self-starter. Without you having to go in and document that I'm a self-starter, I can work without supervision. I've got a question here from a student who's asking, if I've never worked and I'm about to begin my career, what do I put into my headline? Into your headline, you can put in the aspirational title of the role that you'd like to be in. So if it is a marketing or digital marketing specialist, put that in. Hyphenate it or put in a pause break, a comma. There you can then also go in to say, digital marketing specialist, currently studying. And then the third thing, fantastic with video content, or bringing video content to life for organizations, helping to connect organizations to opportunities, helping organizations engage stakeholders, helping organizations communicate with internal, external, and third parties. These are just some ideas that I thought of top of mind, but ultimately, one thing I've observed is where people go in and say, open to opportunities, or currently looking for a job, or currently unemployed. That's true. That is where you are. But LinkedIn has a place where you can go in and put in those career aspirations and those career settings. If you look at your LinkedIn and you click on the picture that is you, and you go into your privacy and account settings, that is where you can now start going in and documenting some of those things that will help opportunities arise for you, that will help people know how to interact with you, that will help people see certain parts of your profile that you want them to see, and certain parts of your profile that you are reserving either for people that you know, or people who are in groups with you, or people that you're currently interacting with. Remember, your profile is all about you. What people get to see will be based on what you want them to see. I have another question here coming from Charity. And the question is it necessary to post both your professional career and startup on LinkedIn without jeopardizing your current role? Your LinkedIn, that's a question. Thank you, Charity. I believe your LinkedIn profile is something that you own. This is not a corporate asset. This is your personal story. If your workplace allows you to have a side hustle, to moonlight, or to have a second career, then go ahead and do it. I've seen profiles where it says marketing manager by day, DJ by night, and that's perfectly acceptable. Remember, when people are connecting with you, you're ultimately trying to leave them with a feeling of who you are. I would connect up with a marketing manager readily who I know is a DJ at night because I'll be interested to know how you balance that lifestyle. I'll be interested to know how you juggle the two roles and what you have learned in your nighttime job that you've applied into your personal daytime job. I've got another question here that's coming in from Gladys. Gladys says, I never knew just how much I was lacking from my profile. I'll definitely have some work to do to define and highlight my brand. I love it. You're embracing it and you're going to start working on it immediately. Well done and good on you, Gladys. Let's get started on that. I've got another one that's come through from Bontle, and her question was, or at least her statement here says, very insightful session. I've learned a lot. My profile needs a lot of changes. Wow, some other positive feedback. Grace, I see your positive feedback. Just scrolling through the various messages here, and I'm trying to find questions that I can specifically ask. Oh, I can answer. I see one here from Rahab. How are you and how are you doing? Thank you very much. It says here, great stuff. Well, I'm glad to share. Each one teach one. And I encourage you after this session to please share some of this content with your family, your friends, other professionals you know, and even strangers. Because a stranger is a friend you just haven't met. Let's help each other. The question here from Rehab says, shed some light on tags and hashtag effect. How does this improve a profile? Excellent question. Thank you, Rehab, for asking that. So when we use the @ sign, usually this is within when we're making a post or we're writing an article and we say to give a classic example, maybe Bill Gates, for example. Maybe I've seen a quote or a statement he said and I'm trying to give credit to Bill Gates. So I'll use the @ sign and then I'll start typing in the person's name, and then LinkedIn will bring up the various options and I'll choose the member that I want to make reference to. It gives credibility to the post and the content that you're pushing. You find every day you have an opportunity to be a student or a teacher. And sometimes when you've been the student, you're inclined to share with your network and to teach. That's great. That's fantastic. As you teach, you want to make sure that you're giving credibility to the source of where you got that information from. So it's super powerful as it enhances and amplifies your messages based on who you're tagging. The other thing is hashtags. I mentioned earlier that people do searches up to 300,000 times every week based on the industry. Now, based again on the world that we live in, people are searching for content that will help them grow as professionals. So before people go for meetings or before people engage on a certain topic, they will go into LinkedIn and put in the hashtag digital marketing, the hashtag rock your profile. And what will come out is all the content that has been posted from the 619 million members that has used that particular hashtag. This is so powerful if you want to be found or your content to reach a wider audience. And I encourage you, as you prepare for interviews or as you prepare to have discussions with stakeholders, investors, to use hashtags to search and find out what are the trends, what are the topics and the concerns, and then maybe to find a way of building that up into your narrative. So hashtags are powerful. They help you help your content rise when other like-minded professionals do those searches using those hashtags. And what's more, when you have those hashtags within your own personal profile summary, it just helps your profile rise up when someone does that search. But I'm not encouraging here to go hashtag crazy. I would say best practice 5 hashtags in a profile update or post would be more than enough. But in a profile summary, 3 hashtags should be sufficient. So those are some of the key things to keep in mind when you think about using hashtags. I thank you very much for the time that you've had with me online today. We have covered a lot in terms of building out your personal profile. We've covered a lot in terms of getting a narrative that helps you stand out as a professional. If you joined us late, the things that we covered earlier on when you're thinking about replaying this, you'll find tips on how to add a photograph to your profile, tips on adding your education and ensuring that your education is aligned to the university or academic institution that you went to, tips on how to highlight your work experience, tips on how to put in your volunteer experience, which our recruiters and our hiring managers use to understand you holistically as a person. You'll find tips about how you can leverage your skills and highlight those skills to ensure that you're driving more traffic to your profile. And then lastly, we covered extensively how to build your elevator pitch so that people can understand what you bring as a brand. We've got literally just 5 minutes to go. I'm just going to have a quick search here to see if we've got any more questions. If you do have questions, I encourage you to put them into the chat right now so we can tackle those questions. And then we will be calling it a night for wherever you are. It's 8 o'clock here in Dublin. It is summer. The sun is still out. So that's always a bit of a mind trick for me, being that I'm from Africa. If you're watching this from other parts of Africa, I know it's probably night. So I thank you sincerely for taking this time out to listen and learn how to define and build your professional brand so that you can access new economic opportunities. In the chat, if you could as well, just again, tell me, what are some of the other topics that you would like to cover? For example, today, one of the things we didn't cover is extensively how to do updates, how to publish articles. This is another superpower that is usually underrated by people on LinkedIn as members. So if you want to know more about that, tell me, and we'll have another session also probably at this time so that we can engage each other when we're not distracted. So I see here Benedict has just made a comment. I'm going to read it out as is. So Benedict says here, I won't have to pay $100 plus for someone to write my story. I'll do it for myself. Thanks, Stuart Samkange. I will go through the video over and over and optimize my profile. Everyone else can do the same. Oh, I love it. Each one, teach one. Thank you very much, Benedict. And as you build out your profile, like I said, there are other people that are junior to us, that are beginning their professional careers. Take the time to help someone. The seeds of kindness that you scatter today will develop roots and provide fruits for the future. So let us help each other. Let us grow each other. This environment, like I said, LinkedIn provides economic opportunities beyond just jobs. Opportunities to coach, to teach, to lead, to inspire, opportunities to mentor, opportunities to have public speaking, opportunities. I couldn't think of another word. But yes, there's so many ways to look at economic opportunities. And I hope by you building out your profile, you're aligning yourself better to access those opportunities. With that, I'd like to thank you and encourage you to help somebody else. Each one teach one. It's time to shine. It's time to shine as an individual, bringing your best skills, bringing your experience, bringing your thought leadership, your passion, your purpose to life. It's time to shine as a recruiter, identifying that talent, bringing it into your organization where it matters, the right skills at the right time in the right job, and delivering the right results. It's time to shine as a company. So if you're a company owner, look at your LinkedIn profile as one of the best ways for you to tell your recruitment story of why someone should consider working for your company. It's time to shine as a continent. Hear me now, Africa. It's time to shine as a continent. We have the resources. We have the skills. We have the talent. We have the passion. And we have our own unique ways of confronting some of these challenges. Let's tell that story. Let's keep it professional. Let's be kind and mindful of the words that we use. It's time to shine. Thank you very much to the Congolese community that prompted me to hold this session today, that reached out and said, Stuart, we need a session in which you can help us build our profiles as work and jobs of the future have changed. So I thank you very much for edging me on to do this. As I said, I'd love to have another session where we talk more about publishing, gaining knowledge, becoming a thought leader, because that's the other opportunity that LinkedIn provides. But I didn't want to extend this over and beyond the time that we've had together. It's been 1 hour and 30. So I thank you very much, and I'd like to close off by wishing you good health, by wishing you safety, and by wishing you access to opportunities that are aligned to your goals, your aspirations, and your purpose. God bless you, and good night.